Today, the United States is witnessing one of the most intense waves of protest in recent years. Across major cities, people are walking out of work, students are leaving classrooms, and communities are calling for a complete shutdown of daily life. The message is simple but powerful: no work, no school, no shopping until justice is served. This nationwide outrage was triggered by two deadly incidents involving U.S. immigration enforcement officers. The first victim was Alex Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse who was shot and killed while recording Border Patrol officers during an enforcement operation in Minneapolis. According to witnesses, he was filming the officers on his phone when the situation escalated, ending in fatal gunfire. The Department of Justice has opened a civil rights investigation into his death, but the incident has already shaken public trust in immigration authorities. The second case involves Renée, a 37-year-old woman who was shot and killed by an ICE officer while sitting in her car during an immigration operation earlier this year. Unlike the Pretti case, authorities have released very limited information about what happened, which has fueled anger, suspicion, and conspiracy theories across the internet. Many activists believe there's a lack of transparency and accountability in how these cases are handled. Protesters across the country say these deaths are not isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern of aggressive immigration enforcement under former President Donald Trump's policies, which are still shaping federal actions today. Activists argue that immigrants and even U.S. citizens are being treated like criminals, and that law enforcement agencies have too much power with too little oversight. The protests have spread from Minneapolis and major cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston to smaller towns across the country. Demonstrators are carrying signs that read, "Justice for Alex," "Justice for Renée," and "No human is illegal." Social media platforms are filled with videos of walkouts, rallies, and emotional speeches from families and supporters. Representative Ilhan Omar joined the protests and praised demonstrators, saying, "You're changing the world." Her statement has gone viral, inspiring more people to join the movement. However, critics argue that politicians are using the tragedy for political gain, turning human suffering into a political weapon. Donald Trump responded to the incidents by saying the deaths should not have happened, but also criticized protesters and defended strict immigration policies. His comments have further polarized the nation, with supporters praising his tough stance on border security and critics accusing him of fueling division and violence. Despite social media claims of a full nationwide strike, experts say the situation is complex. There are protests, walkouts, and localized strikes, but the U.S. is not completely shut down. However, the level of anger and mobilization is significant and could have long-term political and social consequences. Many Americans are now questioning how immigration enforcement is conducted, how much power federal officers should have, and whether current policies are creating more harm than security. Civil rights groups are demanding independent investigations, body camera footage releases, and policy reforms to prevent future tragedies. This moment could become a turning point in U.S. immigration policy and police accountability debates. Whether these protests will lead to real reform or fade away remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the deaths of Alex Pretti and Renée have ignited a national conversation that will not end anytime soon. Stay tuned for live updates as protests continue to grow, investigations unfold, and political tensions rise across the United States.